But it's important to be able to see that, two people could get to heaven, the same people, the one who just stayed in his room and just went to mass and did the bare minimum, or the other person that acted courageously. But what's the difference in their hearts, right? What's the difference in those people's hearts? And also, what's the difference in the hearts of the people that they were able to inspire? Radically different. And that's why the church holds up fortitude and courage as one of the virtues, one of the cardinal virtues. Hello, welcome back to the Stand Firm Project. My name is Father Jordan Dosch, the Vocation Director for the Diocese of Bismarck. In the life of the church, almost all of the saints always encourage us to pray and fast, right? It's always pray and fast. Especially during the Lenten season, we're encouraged to increase those opportunities of praying, fasting, and giving alms. But I think it's always great that the church gives us guidelines as to what does that mean? Because if I would just tell you fast, one person would interpret it one way and another person would interpret it in a radically different way, right? There is a huge spectrum of what we mean by fasting, right? On one side, someone may think that fasting is Gandhi, eating 1 grain of rice a day, or like St. John Vianney, only eating a potato a day, which, a funny story on that, we had a priest at our seminary who would always say, whenever a seminarian was trying to be, ultra pious and just eat a potato, the priest would say, well, you're not St. John Vianney, right? You're not as holy as he is. And he's like, and you also don't know how big that potato was. Maybe that potato was gigantic. You don't know what he ate every day. But the important thing is that he was able to relate his fasting to maybe what God was asking for him. And it isn't just about doing something tough, but it's about what is God asking you to give up in your life at that time, right? So there's a huge spectrum. I know just in my own personal life, looking back on the 30-some years of my life, on the different things that I've given up for Lent, there's some years where I tried to be super hardcore. They were probably my first couple of years of seminary. I remember the first one, I wanted to give up sleeping in my bed. And that lasted one night because I slept on the floor. Actually, I didn't sleep at all. And then I woke up and I was very, tired. I was rude to everyone. And I remember in the holy hour, God blessed the holy hour to a certain extent. He made it clear that me trying to do this hardcore action of fasting from sleeping on a bed was actually making me more rude to people, right? It was taking me further away from God, right? And the point of fasting is to bring us closer to God. Or when I was also in seminary, I remember I fasted so much that I passed out. And that was it was just so dumb. It was so dumb. But then also I remember when I was younger, I decided to give up carrots for Lent. And it's I don't even like carrots, so that wasn't even a burden for me. So there can be this huge spectrum on what do we mean by fasting. And when it comes to that, I always find it funny that what the church says, the encouragement that they give, is not hard, right? So what the church says about fasting is that you can have 3 meals a day, 1 normal-sized meal and then 2 smaller meals that added together would not add up to the normal-sized meal. No snacking, and on Fridays, no meat. And when you think about that, it's you do get a sufficient amount of food. And it isn't about, you losing weight or you starving or you being miserable, but it's more so the discipline about that of saying, I'm giving this up as an action of saying that I want to come closer to God through this. And my point in trying to explain this is that what the church encourages us to do is typically not as hardcore as we think it is, right? So another example, the church, when it comes to the 7 precepts of the Catholic Church, right, on how you're supposed to live, they say you're supposed to go to confession at least once a year, right? The bare minimum is once a year. You're supposed to go to Sunday you're supposed to go to Mass on every Sunday and holy days of obligation. It's the bare minimum to be a Catholic is very, very easy, right? If you want to sit in your room and leave your room and go to Mass on Sundays and holy days of obligation, then go back to your room and just sit there, and then go to confession once a year and then just sit in your room, you could technically be a faithful Catholic. The bar is pretty low. But the reason that the church does this is to be able to help us express our free will, and they want us to act in a courageous way. And I was just kind of struck by this when I was looking at, the requirements of the church, whether it comes to fasting or how to live a faithful life, is that it is pretty minimal, but they're also encouraging us to be courageous, right? And being courageous increases our capacity to love, right? It increases our capacity to love. If you want to do the bare minimum and you just want to sit in your room, or if you want to eat 3 full meals, and I'm not saying going to the opposite end of the extreme, you could live like probably a very mediocre life, but a faithful life. And the way in which the church gives us that encouragement is not only for our own salvation, but it's to help spread the gospel for the rest of the world, right? I was just thinking about, like, in my own life, like all the people that have helped me practice the faith, to a certain degree, had to act in a courageous way. They had to step outside themselves and to be able to teach me or bring something to me. We're in Bismarck, North Dakota. Think about the people that evangelized it, right? The Benedictines that came out here. Imagine those Benedictines if they would have just said, no, I'm comfortable sitting in my cell, right? I don't want to go out to the barren desert, the frozen barren desert of Western North Dakota and evangelize those people. But they did it. And my life is radically different because they acted in a courageous way to be able to help guide the church, right? Or if you want to read some of the most heroic stories, read about the North American martyrs, right? The Jesuits that came to the United States to be able to teach the faith. Those are incredible stories, but to a certain degree, they may have also said that, yeah, I'm just going to live a comfortable life in France, much better food. I don't have people trying to kill me. I'm just going to live a comfortable life here. And my point behind this little episode is to encourage us to see where God may be asking us to be courageous. Now, I started off with the fasting as an example that courage shouldn't lead to this imprudence, right? So they always say that the virtue is in the mean. The virtue is in the mean. It's in the middle. So they give the example of a soldier, right? Because soldiers are usually courageous. On one far extreme, you could have cowardiceness, right? Of someone who never acts. And then on the other end of the extreme, you could have imprudence, right? Someone who just rushes out into battle without even thinking of, where cover is or what they should be doing. But they say the virtue is right in the middle. The person that acts when they need to act, and they do that thing courageously. They also highlight that the courageous person, especially in the life of the church, is the martyr, right? Our history is blessed with the example of many courageous martyrs. And to be able to look at their life and to be able to see, they paid the ultimate cost. They laid down their life for what they believed in. They were killed for this. And that has inspired so many people, right? Their stories have inspired so many people. This was explained to me in one way, I think when I was in high school or so, is that there's kind of a target. In the middle, you have your comfort zone. Then the second target is your growth zone. And then the last target is your panic zone, right? So whatever it is that God may be calling you to, it's important to be able to see, where is this pushing me right now? Is this pushing me out of my comfort zone into my growth zone? We don't want to get to the point where we're in our panic zone, where maybe we start acting imprudently, right? But we want to be able to be in that growth zone so that we can continue to inspire other people. The last example of how I can kind of explain what this means, I don't know where this came from, but someone once gave an analogy that in heaven, everyone will have like a metaphorical, like a bucket, right? And their bucket will be completely filled to the top. And it'll be filled to the top because heaven is perfect and everyone will be completely satisfied, right? Everything will be completely satisfied. But the different people in heaven will have different sizes of buckets. And it was because of their ability to act courageously, which increased their capacity to love, right? Acting courageously increases your capacity to love. And because of that, right, they were able to be filled more, right, with love, which in heaven, the metaphor is that bucket. So it isn't that, there's going to be any jealousy in heaven of you got a bigger bucket than I do or anything like that, right? Because everything will be perfect. Everyone will be completely satisfied. But it's important to be able to see that, two people could get to heaven, the same people, the one who just stayed in his room and just went to mass and did the bare minimum, or the other person that acted courageously. But what's the difference in their hearts, right? What's the difference in those people's hearts? And also, what's the difference in the hearts of the people that they were able to inspire? Radically different. And that's why the church holds up fortitude and courage as one of the virtues, one of the cardinal virtues. So I just encourage you guys to pray, to really discern, where is God asking me to be courageous? Or maybe a better way to put it is, where am I too comfortable? Where am I too comfortable in my life? Maybe I could go to daily mass. Maybe I could increase my time to pray. Maybe I could increase my fasting, not to an imprudent degree. Maybe I could have that conversation with a friend that I know is going to be hard. Maybe I could invite them to mass, right? Put yourself out there, right? Put yourself out there. Act courageous, because that will only increase our capacity to love. So please know of my prayers for you. I ask you to please pray for us. Please pray for the Stand Firm Project, that they may continue to be able to do the good work that they are doing. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. God bless.